The most in-depth coverage of the Silver and Black as they set their sights on Las Vegas for 2020. Live from the CBS Sports Radio 1140 studios, it's Silver and Black Today. Join the conversation by calling 702-889-5978. Now, here's Scott Gulbransen.
Good morning, Las Vegas. Good morning, Raider Nation. Around the world, welcome to the only all Raiders show on the air in Las Vegas, Silver and Black Today. I'm Scott Gulbransen, your host, and it's the day after the NFL draft. The final draft ever, folks, for the Oakland Raiders. That's right. I know some of you in the Bay Area might not want to hear that, but that's just reality. The Las Vegas Raiders are now on the clock. Some are ecstatic, some aren't happy. What's new? We're going to go over the Raiders draft picks from rounds 1 on, and help me do that, we welcome in the usual suspects, my team, the guys that are usually here, at least physically, and starting with my good friend Kelly Kreiner. Kelly, what's up, buddy?
Good morning, everybody. How we doing?
Oh, you're such a hater. We'll talk about that in a second.
Oh, yeah.
According to Twitter, and
I know nothing about players in the draft.
No, you clearly don't study, and what people don't realize too, because we don't talk about it, because Kelly is our draft analyst, right? But what they don't realize is how much time you spend. It doesn't mean you're right all the time. I know you think you are, but it's just
if I was right all the time, I'd be on a better show.
Yes, you would. That's what I love about you. Okay, and then Chaz Osborne is here as well. Chaz, who survived the Raiders' private draft party.
Yes,
correct.
Incredible.
You made it.
I didn't have anything left for the draft, but I'm only conditioned for 2 rounds of the draft anyway. I don't have the stamina. I don't have the stamina for 7 rounds.
Well, and you disappeared for a day after. We couldn't find you. No, but we'll talk about that soon. So much to do on this show. And just a reminder, we're streaming today's show worldwide on the radio.com app. If you know someone in Raider Nation, anyone in Raider Nation looking for a show that covers the Silver and Black with some objectivity and professionalism, tell them to download the app and join us every Sunday. The best music, talk, and sports anywhere, live right here on their smartphone. Get the radio.com app today. You can also find it online at radio.com. Excuse me. If you're more visual and rather watch us in all our glory and physical prowess, it was just the draft, right? You can watch us, our live simulcast on YouTube, Facebook, or Periscope on Twitter. Join us right in the studio everywhere. And again, the live chat, it's already going crazy. I mean, just nuts in YouTube and Facebook. So check it out there as well. There will be lots of arguments. A lot of people are drinking the Kool-Aid right now, saying it was a great draft. We'll talk about why that's true or not shortly. In addition, read the website that started it all, silverandblacktoday.com. All right, busy show for Raider Nation. Our guests include Mr. Mo Moton from Bleacher Report and NFL Spin Zone. Mo, who is as good as they get, is going to tell it like it is, will be with us here at the bottom of the hour to talk Raiders draft. Then we have a ton of interviews today, thanks to Chaz, who apparently had a bunch of candy before those interviews, and you'll hear why. All done this week during the draft, including an interview with Raiders' first-round draft pick Josh Jacobs, and Laura Oakman has that for us. We'll listen to that. Also, we have an amazing story about, or I should say, amazing interviews with a slew of Raider greats, including Jim Plunkett. You might have heard of him, guys, right? You know who Jim Plunkett is? Yep. And if he was drafted today, Kelly would say that he was a bad pick. But anyway.
Well, yeah, because he's a little, past his prime to be drafted this year.
Yeah, I'd take him. I'd take him over a couple guys right now.
That's a hell of a car commercial, though. Have you seen that?
Yeah. Jim Plunkett, Eric Allen as well, Charlie Garner, and Steve Wisniewski. They'll give us their take on the draft and the move to Las Vegas and more. You don't want to miss hearing from these Raider greats. Later in the show, the Dean of West Coast Sports Radio, Lee Hacksaw Hamilton, will be with us to break down the draft for the entire AFC West. How did the other teams do? He'll tell us. Raiders fans need to know what the competition did in this year's draft. Got some feedback on Lee, too, because everybody thinks he's a Raider hater because he used to broadcast for the Chargers. I don't really care if you think that. Lee knows his stuff. He's going to be on to share with us.
I want to talk sports with you.
There you go. And you can tell him that when you talk to him. Plus, we'll have some good-natured disagreements on the Raiders drafts and more. And we want your phone calls. You guys are all really good at tweeting out, all this stuff, why don't you call in? 702-889-5978. That's 702-889-578. Can you live up to our number one draft pick caller? And that, of course, is Wally.
No.
And Chaz, you were on assignment at the swanky party.
I missed
but
Wally.
For those of us who were in the trenches doing work at the bar, Wally was there. So Wally came
doing
by.
the hard work at the bar.
Yes. Yes. It was tough. But anyway, 702-889-5978. Call us with what you think of the draft. So there you have it, Raider Nation. You are up to date. And this is Silver and Black Today, and we're going to talk about the Raiders draft. Okay, guys, we're going to get way into this after the break. But what I want to say, though, is the first thing I want to talk about is I'm astonished. So watching the draft and doing all that we were doing, we, of course, had a 4-hour show on CBS Sports Radio on Thursday during the first round of the draft. And so we were covering it all. We weren't just doing the Raiders, which, of course, is our focus, but we were covering it all. I'm just astonished how many people were, before the draft, were saying, if the Raiders do this, they suck, they fail. And then they come out, if they don't get Quinnen Williams, Josh Allen, or Bosa, it's a failure. Then they draft Farrell, which we'll get into in a minute, and suddenly, I love this pick, right? All this attitude around this. And then if you were critical of the Raiders for anything, you're a hater. And it goes back to, we were talking off the air before the show, that in today's world, media-driven, social media-driven world, you either are a lover or a hater. There's no in-between. Okay? I don't understand that because you know what? I have an opinion on the Raiders draft, which you'll hear. At the same time, do I love everything they did? No. If you're a fan, great. Be a fan, support your team. You can support your team and say, hey, I love picks 1, 2, and 3, but I didn't like 5 and 6. It doesn't matter. So when somebody gives you a point of view that doesn't agree with your own, it doesn't mean that they don't like you, hate you, and they're stupid. Okay? I think you have to value other people's opinions, and sometimes, Kelly, people don't agree.
Oh, well, most of the time people don't agree now. That's just the way it is. It's like you said, there's no nuance. Everything's one side or everything's the other side. It's like there are degrees of everything, and especially when you're talking about like sports teams and things like this, because you've got 22 starters counting offense and defense. You're not going to like every single player. It doesn't mean you hate the whole team, and people just need to realize that it's completely possible to be a fan of a team and not like what they do.
Right. And Chaz, perhaps out of anybody I know in the entire world, you see the bright side of everything. But talk to me. I mean, you were perplexed by some of the picks. It's not like everything was like, oh yeah, that's a great pick, and everybody thought it was coming. Now, we all prognosticated, and a lot of us were wrong. I don't have any problem with it. We're just guessing. But do you know what I'm saying? The polarization, isn't it weird? I mean, you've been a Raider fan all your life. Has it always been that way?
Yeah, I think every draft's been that way, right? Every sports team, everywhere across the board, there's the names that you know and the names you never heard of, and when they come out, and you think they're in the wrong position, hey, what's going on? Why are they doing this? Why are they doing that? Well, each team has a plan. They've got their board. Most of them think they know what they're doing, and they don't. And so for the fans, especially every draft, you have to sit back and wait. I don't know specifically the shelf life for NFL, but we always said in the NBA, it takes a guy 3 or 4 years to get his feet under him, get going, get used to the system and the next level of talent that you're going up against. So it's pretty much been like that since the beginning of time.
Well, again, you're right. And somebody on YouTube was just saying that it takes several years. Angelo Belcher on YouTube, thanks for watching, man. It takes several years to see how these pan out.
Right.
But just like anything, you have to look at things and say, okay, based on what we knew going in, what the needs are, what the talent level is, what do things look like right now? So you make an assessment right away. If you didn't care about assessments now, you wouldn't be listening to all these shows. You wouldn't be reading all these articles. Okay, so we all want to kind of know what's going on and what we think. That doesn't mean that if you are a Raider fan, I saw plenty of them that got just hammered and attacked because they don't like the pick. And some of these fans have been Raider fans longer than I've been alive, okay, or close to it. Actually, I'm getting pretty old. That's pretty close. But the Raiders are like 9 years older than me. But so my point though is, just because the Raiders did something doesn't mean you have to love it, and just because they didn't do what you want to doesn't mean you have to hate it, right? So I think that with people, it's emotions, it's fandom, I get it. But I just wish that even in sports today, and I'm sorry to get on this esoteric rant, I just wish people would be more open to accepting other points of view. That's my key point here. And Kelly, you have a different point of view, which you're going to talk about shortly. And I know we're going to get all kinds of crap. And what's beautiful about it is you don't care.
Not in the least.
Which is the best thing ever. Because you know what? You have opinions, and if people either take them or they leave them, and who cares? But you know what I'm saying? I mean, have you seen this draft? I think was not as eventful. There just wasn't a ton of things. It wasn't leading into it. It wasn't during. And so I think people are reaching for something to like be upset, passionate, happy about.
Yeah, well, I'd said before our show that this was the quietest like lead up to any draft I can remember, because there really wasn't anything trade-wise. There wasn't a bunch of stuff going out there. You know, the Kyler Murray thing had pretty much been done for weeks on weeks. So, I mean, it just kind of, I don't want to say it hit with a thud, because, I mean, it was still an interesting draft. There's still some, but it wasn't what we expected. Then you get into day 2 and day 3 when everybody and their brother was trading everything they could. It was exactly like that Christmas gift exchange where, like, I want this, you take it. Here, you take it. And everybody just kept moving and moving. Where in the first round, we didn't see it.
Yeah, no, it was an interesting draft. We're going to get into it here after we come back from this break. We're going to dive deep on the Raiders draft. You're listening to the Silver and Black today here on CBS Sports Radio, 1140. Don't go anywhere.
Hey, this is Rodney Hudson. You're listening to Silver and Black today.
Yes, you are. Thank you all for being with us. The day after the end of the NFL draft, the Raiders' first draft with the combination of Mike Mayock and John Gruden. I'm seeing a lot of chatter in our social channels and on our live stream about the Raiders. Most people, I haven't seen anybody say they hate too much yet. I did love this tweet because we were talking about Kelly and him getting some criticisms again, which Kelly doesn't care if you criticize him, so whatever.
Yeah, bring it. Don't care. I don't read it. I don't care.
That's what's best about it. It's awesome. And by the way, that's the best thing on Twitter when people they answer and fight with people. It's like, if you want to fight, fine. But the best thing ever on Twitter, the best thing Twitter ever did was not just come along. It was the mute button. Because you're not paying any attention, and they have no clue that you're not paying attention. Well, it's the best thing ever.
I'm a big believer you don't beef down. And if the highlight of your day is making fun of me, then I got nothing for you, brother.
Yes, and you're creating content, which most people don't do. But I love this. This is from Carrie Martin on Twitter to us on Silver Black, the number 2 day. That's our Twitter handle. Kelly is not a hater. He has an opinion. Huh. Somebody that's logical, thank God. But I'm glad he's not our GM. So it's like, it's not, I don't even consider that a backhanded compliment. That's honest. Nothing wrong with that. And you could appreciate that because I know you appreciate honesty.
Yeah, because if I was our GM, we'd have Ed Oliver, Montez Sweat, and Byron Murphy with the first 3 picks in the draft.
Who needs
Which
that?
are 3 value positions on like running back and safety.
You're just a hater. You're just a hater. Okay, so we're going to jump right in now as Kelly has brought up some interesting points that we need to talk about, which is, of course, what the Raiders did in the draft. And we're going to start, guys, with round 1, of course. The number 4 pick, would they trade out of it? Would they keep it? I always thought all along that they would keep it because I didn't think there was going to be enough value for them to move down with their needs, too. Clelin Ferrell, Clemson, 6'5", 260 edge player. This was a controversial pick outside of the war room of the Raiders, of course. And you talked about, Kelly, the fact that there was guys there. Of course, Quinnen Williams, who I always thought, and we said many, many times on this show, was the guy that we thought would be the best player in the draft and that the Raiders would be best to draft, went ahead of them at the Jets. So that left Josh Allen, that left Ed Oliver, and it left Clelin Ferrell. They took Ferrell. Why do you think they did? You got to try to get into the mind. Whether you agree or not, we'll get to in a second. But why? What is it about Ferrell and what you heard from Mayock and Gruden that they love so much about this kid that they had to have him at 4?
Because he's a safe player. You know exactly what he's going to do, what you're going to get out of him. And it's like I said when the little piece that I wrote, he's got a super high floor but a super low ceiling, in my opinion. He's going to be that 7 to 10 sack guy, good against the run for a long, long time. It's just, for me, I don't see the potential to be a multi-time Pro Bowler, a guy to be a game changer on defense. And at the 4th pick in the draft, I'm swinging for a home run, and they were happy to take a double. And you win games by getting doubles. You can build a roster that way.
Yeah.
But for me, it's like I just see guys that. Is there a bigger chance for a bust from an Allen or an Oliver? Yes, but I think there's a bigger upside as well, and you have to take some risks to get reward.
Yeah, boomer bust. You're right. I'm more of taking a safe play. I think this is just a case, in the Raiders' opinion, of the talent being equal, and they just went for the best character. He's a captain. He's a leader.
Well, but in that case, you won't hear one person say anything bad about Josh Allen's character. Plus with the Josh Allen, you put him at defensive end. If he doesn't work out there, you move him to linebacker. You've got a Pro Bowl caliber linebacker as well.
Right. The thing I was thinking, Mike Mayock, he worked for 10 plus years for the network. He was their talent evaluator and doing their mock draft. And you know this more than I did, but I'm pretty sure McShay and Kuiper, they were all pretty respected. When those guys put out a mock draft, it moves the needle, no?
Well, they follow their mock drafts. I don't know if you call them respected. They pretty much, they're like, they're like anybody else that does this stuff. They just get hammered 90% of the time. Everybody calls you an idiot because everybody behind a Twitter keyboard or behind there is like smarter than you are.
But if Mayock's still there working, and now he's doing his dozen or so press junkets, leading up to the draft, and he's got, Farrell in his top 10 or maybe top 5. Now, that moves the needle. Now everybody's talking about Farrell, and maybe it's not such a surprise because everybody knows his name. And he's there. He's grouped in that same grouping with, Josh Allen and Oliver and Bosa.
Well, I think Kelly's right. I think it's a safe pick. It's not a bad – and here's the other thing. And it's funny. I'm seeing comments on YouTube about – well, what his if you took Josh Allen and his contract would be bigger later on, you want another Khalil Mack. It's like, guys, any number 4 pick is going to be in the same contract situation. You don't not draft a guy because you think you're going to have to pay him later.
But
it doesn't happen that way. It just doesn't.
Defensive end's going to be your highest contract regardless. So if Cleveland Farrell does what they think he's going to, he's going to be a top 3 paid guy anyway.
Yeah,
we've seen the Lakers actually get in trouble the last couple of years for letting people go because they thought they were going to have to pay them, and look where that's got them. The disarray.
And I don't disagree. Again, safe pick, absolutely. He's a good player. And that's the thing, was if I say to you I would have rather had Josh Allen there, it doesn't mean Cleveland Farrell is not going to be a starter in the NFL for 10 years. He will be. He's going to start this year and he'll do well. I think to your point, Kelly, I agree with you on this, and that is it was a safe pick. They like him a lot. I'm okay with them liking him a lot. I just think for me, and maybe we just buy into our own stuff, which is totally fine. It's a fair criticism. But Josh Allen was there. There were other players there that were there that I felt were I would have drafted. Now, I'm not Mike Mayock. You're absolutely right. I've never been a GM. I've never been a football coach except for 10 to 14-year-olds. I coach my son. But other than that, no, I've not been a professional coach. So I get that. But also, I've never been president of the United States, and I criticize the president. I've never been the mayor of my town, and I criticize the mayor. Because you haven't been in that job doesn't mean that you can't have an opinion about it. So if you think that, you can tune out.
Having an opinion is easier than making a decision.
Don't tell Baker Mayfield that, because according to Baker Mayfield, if you've never played football, you don't know anything about football.
Well, yeah, there's always going to be people who feel that way, and I get it. But so Cleveland Farrell, let's talk about him again real quick. Best trait, I think, his hands, quick first step, which actually helps him, I think, overcome some of his negatives. Right?
I've never seen somebody that has. And it's funny because it reminds me of something a basketball coach told me when I was younger. He said I had the quickest first step he'd ever seen, but the second and third one were slow as hell. Farrell gets so much depth off the ball on his first step, but then unless he beats you right there, his penetration just stops. And I don't understand it. It's because, he can be lightning off the ball, great hands, but if he doesn't instantly beat you, if he has to go to either a second or third step, he just gets stopped a lot. And that's something that a good defensive line coach can probably, he he's got traits you can work with. You know, but like I said, I just see a ceiling for him that's not as high as some of the other people in the draft.
Well, we can look at the positives. You know, a Ted Hendricks Award winner, 2-time national champion, ACC Defensive Player of the Year last year. He was the defensive.
He also won Customer of the Year at Starbucks in his neighborhood.
Oh, come on,
those awards,
unbelievable.
I was like, did he?
I'm just kidding.
I was going to say, wow.
But then, and you know what I don't understand? Like Raider Mike on Facebook says Josh Allen was a project. Come on, Mike. Come on.
Hey, he's got his opinion. You just said everybody's allowed to have their opinion.
But I'm just disagreeing with him. I love Raider Mike. He's one of our best viewers. I'm just saying, come on, man. He's not a project.
Yeah, let's list awards and how they help your NFL career. Johnny Manziel won the Heisman Trophy for the best collegiate player.
Ouch.
Yes.
Awards don't mean anything.
No. But the Ted Hendricks Award does.
Because it's Ted Hendricks.
That's right.
Okay. So Farrell there, I think, that his technical ability, his hands, his skills as a rusher, I think they allow him to do well. He's an immediate 3-down player. There's no doubt. I mean, he is.
Oh, yeah.
And so from that perspective, I like what you said, Kelly, because we hadn't talked about that word before. Safe pick, good pick, solid pick. Came earlier than most people expected. That's why people were surprised. That's why I was surprised and didn't like it at first. I've grown to like it now, and I think it's a fine pick. I don't have any problem with it, right? Now, we go to number 24. Of course, a kid that I absolutely love because he's just a good human being. His story is incredible. And that, of course, is running back Josh Jacobs, 5'9", 209, out of Alabama. And Kelly, you've watched hours and hours of film on this guy. His vision is amazing, I think. And he hits the line in the hole quickly. Doesn't have that true burst speed, right? But he makes up for it with that great balance. He's tough on tacklers, which in the NFL you could take a beating because he likes contact, right?
Yeah.
But at the same time, at 5'9" in the NFL, you're going to have to avoid contact when you can. But he's a productive receiver. Not going to be a big yardage guy in my view, but he's going to get you chunks of yards. And for the Raiders right now with a need at running back, I think it's good. Again, I had him slated at 27, which I thought was a little high. But at 24, they loved the kid and they went for it.
Yeah, I'm not in this group that you should never take a running back in like the first or second round type thing. I'm totally fine if there is a like franchise type running back. Like Saquon Barkley last year, I would have taken Darius Geis last year in the first round. I think he's going to be a stud in the league. So it's not just anti-running back. It's just Jacobs was the best running back in a really bad running back class, and I wouldn't have spent a first-round pick on him. And I was talking with a friend of mine that works in the league, the same guy that told me that Collier was going in the first round, and I couldn't believe him until it actually happened. And I kind of did the same thing you just did. Hits the hole, not great speed, great vision like that. And he's like, well, who does that remind you of? And I'm trying to think of a player, and I was like, I don't know. He goes, that's Trent Richardson. And as soon as he said that, I almost threw up in my mouth a little bit. Because I'm like, I think everybody thought Trent Richardson was this no doubt easy. I mean, he's going to work in the league, everything from Alabama. And then it scared the hell out of me when he compared those two. Because, this is a guy that makes a living working in the league as a scout, and he compared those two.
Wow.
Yeah, that's
I'm like, that just like ruined it. It's like,
well, that's the thing is I like the kid a lot, and if you know anything about his story, it's hard not to like what his story is, right? I mean, it's living in a car and his father raising 5 kids on his own, living in hotels, just an amazing story of overcoming. So great story, but I think he's going to be fine. Again, there's people online comparing him to Marshawn Lynch. I think that's a little bit of a reach. But injuries his sophomore year hurt him, so he kind of bloomed late.
Yep.
And we'll see how he goes. But he's got low mileage, so hopefully that helps. Now, the pick at 27 in the first round is actually one that I was not high on. And we're going to step aside and pay some bills. And when we come back, we're going to talk to Mo Moton. And we'll talk more about all of these picks, including Jonathan Abram, who I think was actually the worst pick in the first round. We'll talk about that right after this. You're listening to Silver and Black today here on CBS Sports Radio.
The only way to take Silver and Black today with you is with the radio.com app. Download it today and search CBS Sports Radio 1140 in Las Vegas and listen to us anytime, anywhere.
All right, welcome back to the Silver and Black today here on CBS Sports Radio in Las Vegas. the future home of the Raiders. Yeah. And the next draft will have picks by the Las Vegas Raiders. We talked about that yesterday. And we're excited again to go back out on the phones and bring in with us one of the voices of reason all along and all the time. And that, of course, is our friend Mo Moton from Bleacher Report and NFL Spin Zone. Mo, welcome back, man. How are you recovering from the draft, or have you even had any time?
No recovery at all. I'm running on 3 hours of sleep here. My right leg is numb. I'm all over the place, man, but I'm here, so it's all good.
That's good, and we're glad to have you. All right, let's jump right in, of course, with the Raiders draft. It was surprising, but not surprising to you, Mo, because on January 1st of 2019, that's right, New Year's Day, you wrote your first mock draft. And in that mock draft, tell everybody who you chose at number 4 with the Raiders pick.
It was Cleveland Farrell.
Hey.
And yes, and that was before the national championship game against Alabama.
Yes.
Now, I didn't go on Twitter and gloat and talk about this because I feel like I made a mistake here, because initially I had Cleveland Farrell at 4. I like Cleveland Farrell. A lot of people didn't get that on draft day when I retweeted a couple of memes. People said, "Oh, you hate Cleveland Farrell." And it's not that. It's just I was surprised. I don't hate the pick, but I was surprised that they went with him at number 4. I will say this. At the beginning of the process, I had him high. And then as you're watching the combine and you're reading mock drafts, you're like, oh, maybe I have this guy too high. Maybe I need to take him down a couple of notches. I will say on my last mock draft, I did have Cleveland Farrell going 8 to the Detroit Lions. So people will say it's a reach. I would say it. You know, if you didn't have him high on your boards, of course you're going to say it's a reach, but I don't think it was a crazy idea. I think it was just a big surprise. Ian Rappaport reported there would be a surprise pick, and it was Cleveland Farrell.
Yeah, and Mo, that's what we were talking about earlier in the show with Ken. Kelly, I think, said it well, and he's called it a safe pick, meaning that you can't go wrong. He's a good player. Like I said, he's going to be a 3-down player in this league immediately, and he'll be here for a long, long time, and he'll do very well for the Raiders. I think that's the surprise. I think people sometimes when you get surprised by something, especially in our business, they take that as you being negative. It's not that at all. And you were, like you said, you were on him all along. And you also sent me a message, which I appreciated, and it's something we should talk about because fans talk about it a lot, which is we get influenced by other things that we read. And so you're going to change the way you do that next year, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And I own up to this mistake. We just fall into the trap of everyone was talking about, okay, the Raiders, if they don't get Quentin Williams, it has to be Ed Oliver or Josh Allen. So when you talk that up for a month and a half, that's what you're expecting at number 4, not knowing what the Raiders actually think of these players. So when that doesn't happen, some people are disappointed, and most people are surprised. Even Farrell said he was surprised he went number 4. So yeah. I think that's a fair thing, and I think people take the word surprise as a negative, as you said, and I think it's not a negative. It's just you're not expecting that. But I would, yes, we talked about this in the DM. I will change that. I'm going to refrain from a lot of mock drafts. I'm going to stick to beat writer mock drafts because they seem to be more accurate.
Hey, Mo, it's Kelly. You mentioned that you had him down at 8 in your last mock draft. Several months when I put my first mock draft out, I had Quentin Williams going there, and I was talking to somebody on Twitter, and I said I think Farrell's the pick if Williams is gone. But then the more tape I watched, I saw people that I liked more, saw people that moved up more. So when you talk about, it's a surprise pick and, people mock draft say you should take this person versus this person, sometimes you just see somebody you like as a better player when you move them up there. You have that in your mind as that's the perfect fit for them. So I don't think it's a mock draft thing. It's just other perception of everything else. It's like, at the national championship game, oh, Farrell had a monster game. He's great. But then you go back and look at everybody else and you're like, okay, this works here. This works here. So I'm not really looking at it as, the mock drafts influencing me. It's just you get so much information that it's hard to parse what you need to know and what you don't need to know.
That's part of it, but also if you're studying these prospects all year round, and a lot of people don't, I'll admit that, when you're wrapped up in the season, you're not really looking at college prospects as how they fit with your team. If you're a latecomer and you're just digging into film months before the draft, you're more prone to be influenced because you didn't watch this player from the beginning. You're just kind of catching up. So you're redigging into film, you're re-looking at things, and you're second-guessing, is this guy this good, is this guy that good? Once you start that second-guessing process, you start to move players around, and you think, okay, maybe I'm too high on this player, maybe I'm too low on this player. And again, the whole second-guessing method can get you in trouble as far as will you have a player ranked and will you have a player going in the actual draft.
Yeah, and Mo, again, we're talking to Mo Moton from Bleacher Report, NFL Spin Zone. Now, Mo, we look at the draft. Okay, so we got over the shock at number 4. Then we have Josh Jacobs at 24. I had him at 27 originally, so I wasn't completely shocked by that. With their picks at 24 and 27, I didn't see any. I mean, Montez Sweat was still there. They could have maybe grabbed him and then gone Jacobs at 27. Did you think that? I mean, do you think that Josh Jacobs in today's NFL, would you have taken him there at 24 or maybe waited another couple?
I had this philosophy, and I'm sure you've heard this philosophy before. If a player isn't absolutely special, spectacular, like an Ezekiel Elliott, Saquon Barkley, Todd Gurley before arthritis affected his knee, I'm waiting until the second, third, or even fourth round for a running back. Now, the Raiders really like Josh Jacobs. If you listen to the press conference, John Gruden admitted that he was telling everybody they're going to draft Josh Jacobs. I read Peter King's piece the week of the draft, and there were rumors that the Colts or the Philadelphia Eagles were interested in Josh Jacobs. So I thought the Raiders thought if we don't take him at 24, he could be gone at 27 because I believe the Colts picked right after 24. So I believe the Josh Jacobs thing was Gruden really liked him, so they felt like if we don't take him, he could be gone. Let's get him now. But me personally, I'm the type of guy that if he's not a spectacular talent, I'm not saying Josh Jacobs isn't going to be a good player. I think he'll be solid. He fits what Gruden wants. He can run, catch, and pass protect. But me, I prefer let's take a guy in the second or third round if he isn't a top pick. But I'm not mad at the Josh Jacobs selection because if you look at Derek Carr getting sacked 51 times, you're going to need a guy to be back there and pass protect.
Yeah,
and again, if you have those wide receivers out there, he can catch the ball. So.
Well, and in the couple minutes we have left, Mo, the segment has just gone by so fast. Jonathan Abram at 27, there's a lot to like about him. I don't like this pick. I think, range is good long speed. He's a hard hitter. I think that's what people love about him because he's incredibly physical, but his ball skills are lacking. He has trouble finding the ball with his back to it. And the pass coverage is so I don't see it at 27. What's your view on Jonathan Abram?
Really quick, that was the pick that I scratched my head on the most, only because they still have Carl Joseph. Now, may I say that they will talk to Carl about his contract, which says to me that he's probably going to be gone after this year.
Yeah.
But Abram, I don't like him as a deep safety. I know people say he can play that, but that's not his forte. I think they're going to match him up against tight ends in the short underneath area. But the safety position in today's game, when you're playing safe, I want a guy with range. And the Raiders needed that, and I feel like they didn't get that with Abram, but they did get an alpha guy with qualities. He is going to probably be a replacement for Carl Joseph, so I get it, but I would prefer a guy with range at that position.
Yeah, and I'm concerned too because when you have a hard-hitting safety who has a shoulder injury, it's sort of like taking a running back that has a knee injury. It's very, very concerning, right, Kelly? I mean, that to me alone is a big red flag.
Yeah, well, basically, Carl Joseph failed for the Raiders, so they drafted Carl Joseph again. It's like you're taking the exact same player that Carl Joseph was coming out of West Virginia, and expecting a different outcome from the exact same player.
Yeah, and Mo, again, there's Kelly hating on everything. No, I'm just kidding. Yeah. That's how some people look at it. But Mo, overall, we don't do grades. I know you don't do grades, but overall, what word would you use to characterize the end result of this Raiders draft?
I would call it the not so sexy necessary draft. Yep. And just to sum it up, Gruden talked about he needed mature guys because people didn't talk about this a lot, but the Vegas move played a lot into this draft. They needed mature guys who would be able to handle that move and keep that locker room together.
All right. Mo Moton from Bleacher Report, NFL Spin Zone. Read his draft stuff. I know you have more coming. Follow him at Mo, Moemoton on Twitter. Mo, thanks again, man. We'll have you on real soon.
Pretty sure I'll have more sleep next time and be back.
That sounds good. We'll send you coffee. Thanks, brother. Take care.
Thanks, Mo.
All right. Mo Moton has been with us. Always a great guest and great conversation online as well about that spot. When we come back from this paying of bills, we're going to talk more about the draft, and we'll get into the rest of the picks of the Raiders. You're listening to Silver and Black Today here on CBS Sports Radio, 1140.
Rich Perez with Nationwide Sports. Listen in and enjoy.
Hey, this is Tim Brown, Hall of Famer. You're listening to Silver and Black Today.
Tim Brown. Look at the shirt I got on today. See that? People on TV can see it. Yes. Okay, Kelly. Come on, Kelly. Bring it.
It says undefeated in perfect season. How did that season end?
Doesn't matter.
Like,
it says undefeated season. Wasn't it undefeated season?
Did it come with
the season, not postseason?
Did it come with a
season?
Did it come in a 2-pack with a UCF or UCF?
I want to call you something. I want to call you something, but I can't use it on the air.
Way to ruin my joke there.
Mark, get the dump button ready.
Oh, he's had that thing ready since we got on the air.
I know. Yeah.
At least if you're good at your job, you have.
Yes, he's and Mark Bonilla, our executive producer, is the best. Is the best. So he's always ready. Doesn't matter. Okay, back to the draft. We left off. We asked Mo about it. I want to get your guys' view of it as well. We had a viewer say that his favorite pick was Abram. And you know what? If you like people who hit people hard, I get it. But people who hit people hard don't cover receivers, and they don't win you ball games just because they hit hard. Abram, a good player, as Mo Moton also agreed, it was a reach at 27. I think you could have done much better there.
I mean, a lot of people had him as the number one safety, but the big thing in the NFL is getting turnovers and getting the ball back, and that's just not something he's not going to do that. You know, he had 2 interceptions in college. It's like I was telling you guys earlier, one of them he stole from a teammate, and the other one, the wide receiver runs the wrong route, and it basically hit him in the chest to the point to where he couldn't, there was no way he wasn't catching it.
People are talking about how Abram is the replacement pick for Khalil Mack, right? And Josh is the replacement pick for Amari Cooper.
Other way around.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Either way, you can't even look at it like that because the Raiders still have Chicago's first-round pick next year, right?
Yeah.
So that's just an incorrect way of looking at it. That's why we didn't need to panic and take the sexy pick. Everybody's worried about Josh Allen or Ed Oliver, and you're talking about boom or bust. They're just staying true to their philosophy, which is high character, football talent, and a passion for the game. And we'll see how it turns out.
Well, yeah, Chad, I don't disagree. I think you're right about the character things. If you look at it, if you watch the press conferences from everybody involved, they talked a lot about the guys, and they all, for the most part, are good kids. They did the interviews. They all did really well. They weren't like a Kyler Murray who had all kind of mixed signals. But at the same time, I can go get you a lot of good kids, man. Kids that you would, for those of us that have daughters, you wouldn't mind them dating. They're good, upstanding citizens,
high character,
but they don't win football games all
right.
the time. So, but I think they did get a mix of kids who will do that. Kelly's got a smart-ass comment. Here we go.
Oh, no.
Here we go.
I was just going to say, yeah, high character doesn't win championships, which is why Miami used to have a dynasty.
That's right. Well, and the Raiders, never mind the Raiders.
Exactly.
I'm sorry, I'm thinking college with the Miami Hurricanes.
Oh, Miami Hurricanes.
Yeah.
Right.
That's why they used to have a dynasty, because not a whole lot of character on those teams.
Yeah, and then I think that if you look at the Abram pick, I know it's not a popular opinion with the folks listening right now, but ball skills lacking, passing coverage, whatever. Round 2 now we get into a pick I like better, and that is at number 40. They traded down from 35 to number 40, and they chose Trayvon Mullen, another Clemson, of course, because they are now the Clemson Raiders.
Yeah.
6'2", 190, okay in coverage, both zone and man, nothing spectacular. He needs significant. I watched a lot of video last night on him. I, full disclosure, had not watched much of him before. His footwork is not good, but you can see the raw ability there. So if he can get over that and they can coach him, I think this is a good pick.
Yeah, you mentioned the footwork. It's especially in his transition, like flipping his hips and stuff. He needs a little bit of work with that, but you can see that it's there. But the other thing is he was never really thrown at in college, because he was their number one corner. He was. Everybody's kind of went away from him,
right.
And that's why when you're watching the games and you're watching the film on him, there's not a ton of it to look at, right, because they just went to the other side of the field.
Yep. And Mayock was just saying that they had him targeted the whole time. Like the second round, it was Trayvon Mullen and and acquiring picks, and they traded down and got picks, and they got Trayvon Mullen. So they definitely saw something there that they liked.
Well, yeah, and I don't know how many of you believe that. Oh, he was always our pick.
I was going to say, yeah.
Chaz does, because Chaz's a good man.
Says every GM ever. Oh, that's the guy we were going for the whole time.
Yes.
They wanted.
Just wants to be like, nah, we wanted this guy, but he was gone.
He was gone. Yeah, we're not going to tell you. It's so funny, too, how they protect that. Even after the draft is over and they ask him, well, what quarterback might you have drafted late in the round if he was still there? And he's like, I'm not going to tell you that. Because they just don't want you to know how they think and how the whole process goes. So very, very interesting. But there, so then you go down to Max Crosby at 103 defensive end, or 106, excuse me. They traded down from 103. Great length and hand usage. Not an elite athlete. Needs to add a lot of mass to that frame. Chicken legs. And doesn't have that power element, but Kelly, he's got really good finesse skills, which you can see why they take him there, because there's a lot of potential there.
Yeah, and he's got the frame that you can add to. Once you get him into an NFL weightlifting program and everything like that, he'll be able to put that on his body. I actually like the pick because, he's basically the second or third best defensive end we have on the roster right now. And so any help at D end was sorely needed.
All right, and the last pick we'll get to, we only have about 45 seconds. Foster Moreau, tight end from LSU. Great pass protection tight end. Not a replacement for Jared Cook, at least right away, and also does well with his body control. With his run blocking. At best, I think he's a tight end 2, but he can be in there as basically an extra offensive lineman in both pass and run protection, which is valuable.
Yeah, his combine testing was kind of surprising. He did a lot better than a lot of people thought. And I don't think you can really judge his pass catching ability or anything like that because he went to LSU. And for some reason, one of the best programs in the country doesn't
pass to the tight end.
Well, no, not only that, but they haven't had a good quarterback in ever.
That's right. All right. Well, that is Hunter Renfrow we'll get into, and Quentin Bell also a little bit later. When we come back from the break, Chaz Osborne has a bunch of interviews for us that we did with folks from the Raiders, and we're going to give you those. Jim Plunkett, Eric Allen, and much, much more here on the Silver and Black today, only on CBS Sports Radio, 1140.
The most in-depth coverage of the Silver and Black as they set their sights on Las Vegas for 2020. Live from the CBS Sports Radio 1140 studios, it's Silver and Black today. Join the conversation by calling 702-889-5978. Now, here's Scott Gulbranson.
Here I am. Welcome back, Silver and Black today, along with Kelly Kreiner and Chaz Osborne, who were both abusing me during the break, verbally and otherwise.
You brought it on yourself.
I have ways of getting back, which we will explore soon. All right. Before we get to a bunch of interviews with Raider greats that you're going to love to hear from them on everything from the draft to the move to Las Vegas. Thank you, Chaz. I feel like a ventriloquist.
Chaz Osborne, Silver and Black today.
Listen, for all you kids,
Mark is so good.
That's the new drop.
For all you kids listening out there, stay away from Red Bull. I can just give you that advice right now.
Chaz Osborne, Silver and Black today.
Today, Silver and Black today.
That's what happens when you forget the name of your show halfway through explaining the name of the show.
I love Mark Bonilla, our executive producer, is so good and on top of everything.
Do not mix 5-hour energy and Red Bull.
Oh, brother. That is good. Okay, so before we get to that, though, and we've been talking a lot about the draft today, before we get to that, we have to get to our number one draft pick, our MVP caller, and that, of course, is Wally, who joined us for the draft party out at Bar on Thursday. Wally, happy Sunday, man. What do you think of the draft?
Hey, brother, that party was fun. We need more Raider fans out there next year.
Yes, I think that is advisable. We do definitely need more Raider fans there.
Anyway, I know you guys are busy, so I just want to keep it short. The two worst parts of our defense last year was pass rush, and we can't cover a damn tight end.
Yeah.
What is going on? Every tight end that plays against us is Dave Casper, Hall of Famer.
Yeah.
I don't understand it, man. We got to address that issue, or we're just going to get destroyed every week.
Well, Wally, it comes down to one position, I think, and Kelly's going to tell you what.
It might be because Gunther's system doesn't value linebackers. How about we get some linebackers?
Yeah, I mean, and they did not really address that in the draft. Well, they did in free agency, obviously, but who knows? I mean, I think that's part of the reason there. There was a lot. I mean, that's a multitude of reasons. Linebackers, yes, you weren't putting pressure on quarterbacks enough so that they could get the ball out to these these tight ends, and frankly, you have the best tight end in the league, in my view, in your division, which is Travis Kelce. Yep. So. What else? What did you think of the draft overall, man?
I thought it was cool. I'm not an expert, and anybody that says there is an idiot. I mean, you don't know the results till 3 to 5 years later, But
yeah.
At least we didn't pick somebody like Hayden that had his heart blown up expecting to hit people.
Yeah, that's true. Now
that is a reach.
I know. Well, listen, Wally, I appreciate you coming out, and thanks for listening, and we appreciate you calling in with your question.
All right, good show, guys. Later.
All right, Wally. Thanks very much. Okay, now we're going to get into Chaz Osborne, Silver
and Black today.
I could just see him doing the old, and if you're watching the video shows, Silver and Black today.
Giving a little whiff. Okay, so
today.
Chaz was at the private Raiders draft party here in Las Vegas. And had the opportunity to do some great interviews with Raiders from the past, great Raiders, and get their take on the draft and the move to Las Vegas. The first one you talked to, now Chaz was definitely, he kept it in check, but he definitely was fanboy at this point because it was Jim Plunkett, right?
Right.
And that was, you even called, when you were texting me, you're saying, I think I was kind of a little bit, because, I love Jim Plunkett. I was the guy who got me to, but did a great interview with him. Here is Chaz with Jim Plunkett.
Jim, an incredible day for Raiders and Raider fans. We're here at the 2019 NFL Draft Party. Your thoughts about the team moving to Vegas and what it's going to mean for the community?
Well, number one, today was spectacular. I mean, a great turnout, great fans here in Vegas as well as the rest of the country. They put on quite a show here in Vegas, and this was by far the most significant welcome to any city I've ever seen. There's no doubt about that. And the Raiders, continue to improve, get better under Coach Gruden. We've got some draft picks this year, strengthen our team, be a contender once again. Everybody's looking forward to that.
Yeah, no, I appreciate it. You're right. Las Vegas does roll out the red carpet, spectacular events. If the Raiders did have to move, I would say this is probably the best place they could go, correct?
Well, I would think so. Although I'm from the Bay Area, and I wish the Raiders could have found a way to stay. Oakland has no money. Investors want part of the club, and Mark Davis won't sell any part of the club. And believe me, Las Vegas opened up their arms for the Raider team and nation to come out here.
Yeah, well, it's great seeing you out here. I know the fans love you. You're a fan favorite. You're one of my favorites, absolutely. Jim Plunkett, I appreciate the time.
Oh, thank you. It's great to be here.
And Chaz was then crying after. No, just kidding. Good interview, man. I mean, that was, always good to hear from Jim Plunkett. Now.
Well, he started pausing because I was humping his leg. He was really encouraged.
Oh, my gosh, you slayed me, man. That's.
He had to pause in the middle of it. I felt bad.
Oh, my gosh.
I'm just picturing a little kid sitting there holding up a microphone while you do it. I mean, you could just. But hey, you're a fan. That happens.
Yeah, I settled down after that. I promised.
It happens. That's why we need balance with me on the board here. Okay, so then this is a bit of a longer interview, but I want to play this because it was fantastic. You did a great job on this one, Chaz. And that was we caught up with Eric Allen, who was at the party. Yep. I haven't seen Eric at a lot of Vegas events yet, but with the team now coming pretty quickly. And oh, by the way, the stadium is on time. We'll be finished on time. You had a great conversation with him, and so here is Chaz, not sounding as excited, but still getting in some good questions with Eric Allen.
Eric, pleasure. I appreciate you taking some time out to spend with us. You grew up in San Diego as a Raider fan, is that correct? I grew up in San Diego as well. What was it like growing up as a Raider fan in San Diego?
Well, it was hard, a little bit, until we won Super Bowls, and the other team didn't. So it was a lot easier, And we had our hometown hero, Marcus Allen, play for the Oakland Raiders. So it was an easy transition, and I just remember all the great players and their personalities. Yep. And that's something that was unique to the Raiders, back in the 70s and 80s, because the rest of the teams were just kind of a uniform or a helmet. Right. But the Raiders, Mr. Davis allowed his players to have some personality, and you can see them, with the helmet off. Cliff Branch, Plunkett, Matuzak, all those great players. and you're able to learn a little bit about that person.
You're bringing back a lot of great memories, man. Hey, I didn't mind growing up in San Diego with all those guys. You're right, they were like our little sister anyway. It didn't matter.
That's right. There you go.
Now, I know you were coaching with the AAF, and that kind of suddenly stopped. Yeah. Unfortunately, are you planning on doing any more coaching, anything in the...
You know what? It was an amazing experience while it lasted. There were some great, talented guys. We have a guy from our team who's been picked up. I think it's Alex Barrett, a defensive lineman. He looks a lot like Dwight Freeney. Really small but explosive, has some great pass rushing moves. So we've had 4 or 5 guys who've signed contracts already. They just needed opportunity. And you know what was really cool was Coach Gruden and his staff, they watch film each week on all of the guys. So give them opportunity. So it was really good to see.
I'm here with Eric Allen at the Raiders draft party in Las Vegas. I'm wondering why wouldn't they have a minor league system for the NFL? Is that just too much?
Well, I think this was one of the best opportunities it had, but financially, I'm just not sure the first group was set to handle a lot of the expenses that were going to come because of the travel and getting 8 teams, across country and staying in hotels. So I'm not sure if they did their due diligence, but the product on the football field was really good at a high level. I had 3 or 4 guys in the defensive backfield who were, 3-4-year players who had played in the league. So the talent was there.
Right on the next level of making it to the next league.
Yeah,
right?
They just needed reps. They needed, I found myself a lot just working technique every day in practice so that guy who didn't get those opportunities got to really sharpen his tools. And I talked a lot about the tool belt and the toolbox and going up against different caliber guys, what you need to be successful. So Cameron Kelly, who was signed with the Steelers, who played cornerback, he's about 6'2", about 200 pounds, and he's long. So hopefully guys like that have opportunities to play in the league, yeah.
So tell us about are you excited about the Raiders coming to Las Vegas in 2020? Are you going to be here?
I'm really excited, and it really starts today because like that 98 team, when John Gruden first came, Charles Woodson, myself, Eric Turner, we were new guys coming into the Raiders, and we understood what the Raiders were about, but it first started with defense. If you can remember, that year we were 5-2 or 5-3 at midpoint, but everyone got hurt. Right. So we were looking for the playoffs in John's first year, basically. So John understands that you need offense to score points, and AB is phenomenal. Carr's going to do a great job. Hopefully the line is in sync. But defensively, you need to be able to get stops and get off on third down.
I'm with you. I preach defense first 100% all the time. Now, I've heard one thing about Gruden. He does like a quarterly system where he wants to win every quarter. Is that right?
Yeah, that's been back in the day. Yeah. So we focused on those first 4 games. So as a player, I'm going to pay attention to that first game, but I'm only going to go 4 games out as far as film preparation and film study, and that's what we're trying to concentrate on, those first 4 opponents. So we're going to we want to try and go 3-1, 4-0, if possible, and then you recharge your energy, you recharge your batteries, and then you get back to those next 4. So it makes it a little easier, you can focus a little bit more.
Well, I appreciate you taking some time out. Las Vegas, excited for the Raiders. Hopefully we'll be seeing you out here a lot more.
For sure. Raider Nation, baby.
Hey, man, I appreciate you.
There's Chaz with his high energy level. You guys were crying. I was laughing so hard in here. You guys couldn't hear what we were talking about. But, so great interview with Eric Allen. And by the way, Chaz was an NBA scout. He was not a reporter. You did a great job, man. Thanks. Speaking of a great job, also you got to catch up with Charlie Garner. You want to do it when we come back, Mark? Or? Okay, we'll do it when we come back. We're going to step aside and take a break. And when we come back, we'll hear from Charlie Garner and have some more talk on draft winners and losers here on Silver and Black today on CBS Sports Radio and the radio.com app.
The phenomenon that changed music forever. Now captured in Elvis Presley's Heartbreak Hotel in concert.
It's one for the money.
Relive the experience. Feel the excitement. live at Harrah's Las Vegas. The moves, the stories, the hits. Tickets at HeartbreakHotelConcert.com. See how the King became the King. Heartbreak Hotel in Concert, a rocktacular experience.
Whether you're painting your home or you're a pro painting someone else's home, perfect color starts with the perfect paint. PPG Timeless, now at the Home Depot for just $34.98. Get fast one-coat coverage. It's durable, and it's been trusted by pros for over 135 years. Now it's your turn. Today is the day for doing with PPG Timeless, starting at just $34.98. The Home Depot. More saving, more doing. U.S. only.
Hey, it's Flo. And you know what word I've never understood? Top hat. Aren't all hats on top? They're like the toppest part of every outfit. Unless I've been doing it wrong. That's why I stick with simple words like Flotection. It means the sense of security you'll feel when your new home is protected by home insurance through me and Progressive. Also, there shouldn't be a top hat unless there's a bottom hat. Wait, is that what underwear is?
Save an average of 17% on car insurance when you bundle home and auto through Progressive. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company, affiliates, and other insurers. Discount not available in all states or situations.
Sign up today for a new William Hill Mobile Sports account and you can earn up to a $50 bonus. The William Hill Mobile Sports app allows you to bet on the go from any iPhone, iPad, or Android service from anywhere in Nevada. With the largest wagering menu, the mobile sports app features live in-play betting on football, baseball, basketball, hockey, and soccer. You can fund your mobile sports account at over 350 locations, including PT's, Sierra Gold, Sean Patrick's Pubs, and 7-Elevens throughout Nevada. For more information, visit williamhill.us. That's williamhill.us.
You're pregnant, and no matter what you do, no matter what you try, you can't stop using alcohol, drugs, or tobacco. But no matter how lost you are, how far along you are, it's not too late. There's always hope, and there are many safe places that can help you stop using. In Nevada, pregnant women are given the highest priority for substance use treatment. Low-cost treatment options may be available so you and your baby can get healthy now. If you or someone you love is pregnant or thinking about getting pregnant and using alcohol, drugs, or tobacco, visit SoberMomsHealthyBabies.org or call 211 to find help today. SoberMomsHealthyBabies.org also has resources for healthcare providers, friends, and family. If you want to help someone who's pregnant and using, visit SoberMomsHealthyBabies.org or call 211 today. Sponsored by the Nevada Division of Public and Behavioral Health and in cooperation with the Nevada Broadcasters Association and this station.
Being in the Army National Guard is about more than just serving your country. It's about being there for your community when your neighbors need you most. The Army National Guard makes college affordable. Serving part-time lets you attend school full-time while you take advantage of education benefits that can help you graduate debt-free. If a civilian career is your goal, serving part-time allows you to work at a full-time job. The skills, qualities, and contacts you'll develop in the Guard can open doors to a great civilian career. Want to serve but worried about being away from friends and family? Part-time service in the Army National Guard allows you to serve close to home. Serving in the Army National Guard lets you have the life you want while you enjoy the many benefits of serving your community and nation. You owe it to yourself to learn more about how the Army National Guard can fit into your life. Visit NationalGuard.com.
Sponsored by the Nevada Army National Guard. Aired by the Nevada Broadcasters Association and this station.
The Dodgers take on the Pirates. Today at noon on CBS Sports Radio, 1140.
This is Silver and Black Today, live on CBS Sports Radio 1140. Here's your host, Scott Gulbranson.
Silver and Black Today.
I'm never going to get sick of that. That is awesome. That is Chaz Osborne and all his youthful excitement.
That's right.
It's fantastic. Okay, we are back here, and just an amazing show thus far. The conversation online, there's a lot of people. There's people out there telling us we should do a Chiefs show instead.
Whoa.
There's people out there who are pretty vile, and I love it.
We'd have a lot of material if we did a Chiefs show right now, man.
Yeah.
Boy, their weekends suck.
Oh, my gosh. We're going to get into that in 10 minutes with Lee Hamilton. We're going to go over the AFC West draft. So stay tuned for that. We want to bring you, again, Charlie Garner. A lot of you guys commenting how much you loved him because he was such a tough as nails player. And
great guy.
Really loved the Raiders fans really loved him. And so we're going We're going to get into that. Chaz has another interview, and we'll see.
I'm not as excited.
Hopefully you're not humping any legs this time.
I'm not as excited.
Anyway, here's Charlie Garner at the Raiders private draft party just on Thursday night.
The Raiders just picked Clelin Ferrell with the number 4 pick. Charlie, what's your reaction to that?
It was kind of surprising, but not really in the aspect that I think they was really looking for an inside guy that can bring pass rush along with run stopping, and that's what they were looking for so they can free up the edge. So I believe they are headed in the right direction.
I'm a defensive guy. I always preach defense. You can't win championships without defense, so I'm very, very happy that they took a defensive player. As far as the Raiders moving to Las Vegas, what are your thoughts? The community is so excited. How about your perspective on Las Vegas?
Well, I mean, the Raiders are loved everywhere they go, but at the same time, this community here is very close to California, so it will be no disconnect. In fact, it's just been a fluctuation of Raider fans that's just been brewing here in Nevada that's been looking for an occasional cheer without having to travel. So that's what they get that right now. But it's unfortunate that Oakland will be losing a team. LA's lost a team, but the Raiders are still on the West Coast, so it's to be loved.
All right. It's better than them moving to San Antonio or somewhere where the Oakland fans can't get to as easily.
I mean, think about Oakland. I mean, just think about the Raiders in Texas. It doesn't even sound right. But at the same time, this sounds like a town for Raiders. This is a town for Raiders, and the Raider fans will enjoy it, and they'll love it.
It's Raider Nation, so we're everywhere.
Well, they'll support the Raiders, but at the same time, it's a lot of the Raiders that's in Vegas. Anything goes.
Well, let's talk about you personally. I know you're a big family man. You're doing a little bit of coaching. What have you been up to lately?
Basically, been trying to get my daughter to graduate college and get my son fundamentally sound, whether it be in football or basketball, and my daughter head on straight, my middle daughter, as far as what she want to do as far as being, what I'm saying, she wants to be a plastic surgeon. So I'm just like, whatever, pursue your goals, man. So I have to keep mine in track as well as going to speak to the youth and trying to get them to do well and hold my youth camps. But, I mean, at the same time, it's an everyday job.
Yeah, no, it's incredible, the work that you do with the kids. I mean, we all have to do it. They say it takes a village to raise a child. We all have to do our part. Now, is your daughter going to Tennessee as well?
No. She eventually went to William & Mary, and she transferred to Valdosta State. But my other daughter, she wants to go to school in a warmer climate. She was born in California, so she was thinking about Cal Berkeley or somewhere in Florida. So we'll figure that out later.
That's a great move. I'm all for warmer climate myself. I know you're a Laker fan, and I worked for the Lakers for several years, and we're just hoping they get back on track. Any ideas, anything they can do, anybody you can call to help them out?
Well, I mean, I wish I could. I mean, Magic brought me in as a Laker fan, so it was heartbreaking to see him depart. But at the same time, I know the Laker organization would do the best they can to get someone in there who follows the Laker way, which I think will be Kobe. If not, then we'll see what happens after that. But no, LA is LA, and if you want to be a part of a winning organization, a part of a brand, a part of something that's bigger than the NBA, I really believe you want to be a Laker.
Yep, I agree. Chaz Osborne, Silver and Black today, here with Charlie Garner. And at that point, the same thing with the Raiders. We're on the verge of coming back to greatness. Wouldn't you agree?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And, I mean, it starts with, a change at the helm, and we've already made that move. And then it starts with some unpopular moves. And now everything's starting to shape up the way you want it to be. And you just hope that everything works out today, the draft picks, and everybody comes in healthy and ready to go with a positive attitude.
Well, Charlie, I appreciate you. Raiders draft day party here in Las Vegas. Great talking with you, Charlie, and all the best luck to the future.
All right, there you have it. The excitable Chaz Osborne. No, good work, man. And to hear, Charlie Garner, one of the fan favorites. Yep. So really cool to hear from him. And I know you had a bunch of guys up there. You even talked to Brandon Marshall for a while. He didn't go on the air.
Yep.
But it was good to see him as well. Now, what we're going to do is we have an interview here that we got with from Laura Oakman at Westwood One with the Raiders' first-round draft pick, one Josh Jacobs, who we did not compare to Trent Richardson. Somebody else did. You relayed it.
I did not compare him to Trent Richardson. Someone I know that works in the league
right.
was when I talked about what Jacobs did.
Yes.
They said, "Who does that remind you of?" I'm like, I don't know.
It's just somebody listening with something else in their ear. I don't want to know what. But anyway, we will go now to Laura Oakman, Westwood One, with Josh Jacobs, the Raiders' 24 pick overall in the first round of the draft.
Laura Oakman, joined now by Josh Jacobs, who was selected by the Oakland Raiders with the 24th pick in the 2019 NFL Draft. And when you heard it was going to be the Oakland Raiders or the Las Vegas Raiders, what was your first thought?
I was happy. Honestly, this is where I wanted to end up at. I kind of dressed my suit a little bit so I can show it, hopefully. But, I mean, when I had the meeting with him, I sat down and I talked to John Gruden and Mayock. And then I even seen them at dinner after at the Combine, and it was just like a great vibe. So I knew it was a perfect fit for me.
Was it a great vibe just talking football? Or I have a feeling with you because you're so much, everything about you is who you are, not just what you do. Was it just a great click right away?
Yeah, it was just a great click. And it got to the point where we wasn't even talking about football after a while. We were just talking about life. So, I mean, I definitely felt it.
When it comes to football, my favorite compliment that I've seen you get with all the scouting was somebody that said, when people see you, it will remind them of running backs they grew up with.
Yeah.
I know you're very young, so everybody has a different person that pops into their mind. But when you hear that, what do you think of that scouting report?
Man, I think of a lot of people. I just think it's the way I run. A lot of people are big finesse guys now. A lot of people don't want contact, and I kind of invite it. But I also can be finesse. So I think that's what they're talking about when they say I have that old school running game.
Are you one of those guys that studies everybody who came before you to see?
Oh, yeah. I literally steal bits and pieces from everybody, all the greats. Yeah, literally.
Give me a couple. So if you were going to build from take somebody who you took your style from, somebody who took your blocking from your running, what would you say?
See, that's tough. Or well, I would say first Barry Sanders with the shiftiness, Bo Jackson, of course, Walter Payton with the toughness, and then I would say my all-time favorite, the Damian Thompson. He kind of did everything.
Those are some really good ones.
Thank you.
One thing, I know you've met with this guy before, but Saquon Barkley.
Yeah.
And everything that I've been reading about you reminded me so much of him because he's such a film junkie when it comes to looking at old school running backs. But what he would say is I wouldn't just watch the film, I would watch a Football Lives because I wanted to know who they were.
Mm-hmm.
I'm guessing you have that in you too.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's definitely because it gives you an edge. I feel like backs, I mean, of course now backs, we have a lot of great backs in the league and things like that, but it was just different there. I feel like that was like the great era of running backs. So.
One thing I love that you talked about the blocking right away because, or the hitting, because that's another old school trait. It's not just that you're willing to block, but it seems like you love to get that contact. Where does that come from?
It comes from me not wanting to get hit. Honestly, I'd rather hit somebody than let them hit me.
Oh, I didn't see that answer coming.
Yeah.
Wait a minute, that was a twist. It's hard to evaluate you because of the sample size. You were part of such a deep running back platoon at Alabama. How did that help you as a player and as a person?
It helped me a lot. It helped me. It taught me patience. It taught me the importance of staying mentally prepared and ready for the game, taking mental reps even when I'm not in the game, so I don't be behind when I get in the game. And it just taught me to grind for everything.
I wanted to talk football with you, but I really couldn't wait to talk about life with you because you have one of the most amazing journeys of, I would say, of this draft class, but just of so many people, period. And you didn't talk about it for such a long time and just started to a couple of summers ago.
Yeah.
When people ask you what your story is, what are you most proud of that you overcame to get to here at this moment?
I would say just being in the environment that I was in, just being the first person in my school to go to college, just being the first person ever, like from my school to go to the league. I mean, it's bigger than me. It's me putting the city on my back. It's me trying to change the culture of everything, giving people back home faith in that they can do better things and they can be whatever they want to be and they can achieve whatever with hard work and faith. So I mean, it's bigger than me.
And for people who don't know your story, they would hear that and just think it's a tough way you grew up, a tough environment, but not understanding that you were living in hotels, you were living in your car. Your dad raised you 5 siblings all together. I heard something your dad, Marty, said that he would say to God, I don't want to screw them up.
Yeah.
Knowing that, how does tonight feel to share that with your father?
It's huge. It's huge. I mean, he used to tell me all the time, I hope that he didn't know if he was doing the right thing or not. And it's paid off for him, so it's a big moment for him.
As I'm sitting here watching you with tears in your eyes, the biggest thing that gets you so emotional, is it about your journey as a man, or is it about your father's journey to get you here, or your 3-year-old son, Braxton? There's so much, I'm guessing, in those tears.
It's a combination of everything, literally. It's a combination of everything. Like I said, it's bigger than me. It's bigger than me.
So when people look at you right now and they see that Oakland Raiders hat, the big smile, gorgeous suit, and the newest young millionaire, that's what everyone sees. What do you want them to see?
I want them to see that I'm a regular, normal human being. I want them to see that I've been through things, but I don't want them to view me as like a sob story or anything like that. I want them to see like the power in it, the beauty in my struggle. And the biggest thing I want to do is give back to my community. So that's the biggest thing on my list.
You're already thinking about that right along there with playing football.
Yeah.
That's pretty awesome. Josh, I've so enjoyed this. Congratulations and good luck with this next chapter.
Thank you for having me.
That's Josh Jacobs, selected 24th by the Oakland Raiders. With Westwood One's coverage of the NFL Draft, I'm Laura Oakman.
Laura, thanks to Laura for that great interview. Fantastic. My favorite part, beauty in the struggle. Just an incredible young man, and I hope he has great success for the Raiders on the field. We're going to step aside. When we come back, Lee Hacksaw Hamilton, longtime NFL play-by-play, and the dean of the West Coast Sports Talk Shows will be with us. He'll talk to us about the AFC West draft. How did the Raiders competition do? We'll talk to him about it right after this. You're listening to the Silver Black Today on CBS Sports Radio 1140.
This is Cliff Branch, former of the Oakland Raiders, 3-time Super Bowl champ, 4-time Pro Bowl, and you listen to the Silver and Black Show.
Yes, you are. Welcome back to Silver and Black Today here on CBS Sports Radio 1140 and streaming worldwide, of course, on the radio.com app. If you don't have it, you are out of style, man. You got to get it. Go grab it. Now, joining us on the Newsmaker line, and I stole that line from Lee because I listened to him, and he's the reason I'm on the radio. That's right. That is Lee Hacksaw Hamilton, LeeHacksawHamilton.com. Lee, how you doing today, buddy?
Now, don't blame me for your career. I definitely will accept the accolades, but if it goes off the road, off the track, I didn't have anything to do with that.
I know you're like, hey,
I was going to make that same comment. It's like, so it's his fault that you're here now.
No. But Lee is here with us, and Lee, we want to talk AFC West draft. Okay, so we've all digested. We've been clearly talking all morning about the Raiders draft, and we'll ask you about the Raiders later. But let's start in the AFC West with the champion Kansas City Chiefs, who now have cut Tyreek Hill after the incredible, just disturbing incidents around him. How did the Chiefs do? Did they address any of the needs that they had? And, of course, now they have a need at wide receiver.
Well, if we're going to start giving out letter grades, I guess I would give Kansas City a B to begin with. But they've really gone through a crisis-filled weekend with the entire Tyreek Hill situation, and I think this is going to end really badly. Either Kansas City will release him or the commissioner will remove him from the team and put him on the exempt list during the course of this investigation. And all we need to do is evaluate back as to how the NFL dealt with Adrian Peterson, who was involved in a child abuse case, and he was gone for virtually an entire year and never played again for the Minnesota Vikings. I got to believe that based on what we've heard, and I've heard the tape, I've heard the audio, it's pretty ghastly, and it's pretty condemning, considering that it appears that Tyreek Hill, though he said he cooperated, he lied. He lied to the Chiefs. He obviously lied to the police. Whether or not there was a conversation yet with the NFL, he may have lied to them. He's in huge trouble. And this is a terrible blow to Kansas City because this comes on the heels of the loss of the big running back last year, whom they got rid of and wound up going to Cleveland and Kareem Hunt. So you take those two negatives, you add into the fact that they've absolutely torn apart their defense by ridding themselves of Justin Houston, Ford, a whole bunch of guys in the secondary, Eric Berry. This is not the same team that we saw have that fabulous season under Patrick Mahomes last year. So all that is kind of a preface to where we are now. So I think it's a roster that's a little bit of transition. The kid they drafted is a nice wide receiver, but he's not Tyreek Hill at this point in time. I don't know that they've really replaced Kareem Hunt. So I wake up this morning, it's almost like it's Patrick Mahomes and Travis Kelce against the rest of the world. We'll see if Mecole Hardman is the wide receiver from Georgia is ready to step in. I do like the second pick they got. I think he's a pretty good football player, Juan Thornhill.
Yeah, out of Virginia.
Boy, they got all types of issues. Granted, they did trade for Frank Clark and they signed him to a mega contract. But boy, if there's no Tyreek Hill in Kansas City after not having had Kareem Hunt, I think it takes a toll on the team.
Yeah, and they of course, out of the Mountain West Conference, took Darwin Thompson, a running back. Nice kid, of course, not going to be a three-down back in the NFL, of course, but interesting to see what happens there in Kansas City. Now let's move on to Denver. Denver, of course, traded down from number 10 in that first round. They grabbed a great tight end out of Iowa in Noah Fant, and, of course, they got Drew Lock. I was a little bit surprised at how long John Elway was able to wait on the quarterback. What did you think of the Broncos picks this year?
I gave him a letter grade of A. Now, I will tell you, when this draft started and the picks were coming off the board and we got to Denver's pick, I was stunned that they traded that far back. I mean, granted, they did pick up 3 picks from the Pittsburgh Steelers. So they got assets in the deal when they dropped from 10, I think it was all the way back to 20. I thought to myself, what are they doing? Because they needed defensive line help, they needed offensive line help, they might have needed some linebacker help, and all those guys were there at draft pick number 10. Instead, they dropped all the way back to 20. But that being said, a bunch of things fell into place for them. I think Noah Fant out of Iowa is just a tremendous tight end. You know, he might be Travis Kelce. He might be Tony Gonzalez. He's a really good football player.
Yes.
And then they got the offensive tackle, Dalton Risner, out of Kansas State, who is a multi-position guy and a good guy. He's got a great reputation, work ethic, and all that. So those first 2 picks were really good. And then Drew Lock fell to them, the quarterback out of Missouri, and Elway had always been fascinated with him. I didn't think he was going to go in the top 15 picks, and obviously he fell a little bit later. And then they got a really good defensive tackle who might turn into a defensive end out of Ohio State, Draymond Jones. So my gut feel, I wasn't comfortable early on, but boy, when they got to the finish line, that's a grade A draft filling a whole bunch of needs. And they wound up getting a kid quarterback that they like, and now we'll see whether or not they can develop him behind Joe Flacco. I look at the Flacco relationship much like we saw in San Diego with the Chargers. If you recall, they had really struggled to find a quarterback, and they wound up with Drew Brees, and they developed him, and he became established, became good, and then they drafted Phillip Rivers to be the backup, and Rivers learned for 2 years behind Brees, and then Brees left as a free agent and went on to Hall of Fame credentials in New Orleans, and Rivers has become a superstar under his own right. I could see that similar situation with Drew Lock, serving an apprenticeship under Flacco for a year or 2, and then we'll see if he's ready. The only addendum comment I'd make, though, is that Elway's history with quarterbacks,
not
very good.
Not very good at all.
Yeah, the best quarterback in the building might still be John Elway. He's not on the active roster anymore. But I mean, if you look at the mistakes with Paxton Lynch and Simeon, Chad Kelly, Brock Osweiler, that's not good for Elway's resume. So we'll see what Locke turns out to be. But everybody that I've conversed with and exchanged emails with in my networking think that this kid's got big time potential. So I give Denver a letter grade of A. I wouldn't have given them an A at the start of the draft, but when they got to the finish line, I liked it.
Hey, Lee, Chaz Osborne here. I grew up in San Diego as well, listening to you, and you're the standard by which all others are measured. We appreciate you there. You kind of transitioned into San Diego. Go ahead and give us your thoughts on the Chargers draft.
Well, they got what they needed. They've really gone through with a rake and gotten rid of a lot of defensive players. And 9 veterans are off that defense that finished the season last year are gone for a wide variety of reasons. Injury, free agency, just couldn't perform much anymore. They have drafted really well the last couple of years under GM Tom Telesco in terms of going to get athletes. They got a load of athletes, Joey Bosa, Derwin James, whole bunch of other role players on defense. Well, they did the exact same thing on Thursday, Friday, Saturday. I like Jerry Tilley, the defensive tackle. They got out of Notre Dame, huge kid, 6'6", 6'7", very, very mobile, very active. He kind of reminds me of Richard Seymour, who was a 6'7" defensive lineman who could play inside and outside with the New England Patriots and had a really good 9 or 10 year career. I think Tilley could be that guy.
Yep.
I don't know if they reached for Nasir Adderley. They drafted him as a cornerback safety out of Delaware, 1AA school, but he started for 3 years. And I don't think the stigma of playing at 1AA football means very much anymore. Kurt Warner may have changed all that when he came out of Northern Iowa, and the next thing you knew, he was in a Super Bowl, and the next thing you know, he was on the steps of the Pro Football Hall of Fame in Canton. So I don't think there's as much a stigma about, why did you draft a guy from 1AA football? Because guys come from everywhere. But I think Adderley's a pretty good player, and they wound up, of the 7 picks they had, they wound up with 5 guys on defense. So I gave them a letter grade of B+.
Yeah, and I think they had a pretty good draft, and like you said, address some of their key needs. Now, Lee, in about the minute and a half we have left with you, we've talked ad nauseum about the Raiders. What did you think? I mean, a lot of surprises for the Raiders. Going with Farrell at number 4, a lot of people thought that they passed up some guys that they should have grabbed, like Oliver and Jacobs. What's your thoughts on what the Raiders did under Mayock's first draft?
My letter grade is a B. I thought they reached for Farrell out of Clemson. If he was their guy at the top of the board, they could have traded out of the 4th slot, maybe gone as far back as number 10 and gotten an additional pick or 2. They didn't. I didn't quite understand that. They bypassed Devin White. They bypassed Josh Allen. They bypassed Ed Oliver, Christian Wilkins, Dexter Lawrence. They bypassed some really big-time players to go for a guy that was respected but not rated that highly. So I thought that was odd. I like the Josh Jacobs pick, what he has done at Alabama, and then what he did in his individual workouts. He's really a multifaceted running back. That's a pretty good player. Love John Abraham. I think he's a big-time hitting safety. And evidently the linebacker, Trey Mullen, I think he's got really good credentials, but he's really young. But at the end of the day, they needed defense, and they got defense. They could have gotten more, I think, if they had traded out of the 4 slot and gone back to maybe 9 or 10 and gotten Farrell an additional pick. But I can't beef. Anything going forward on defense is better than what we've seen on defense the last couple of years in Oakland.
That's no doubt. Lee Hacksaw Hamilton, check him out, leehacksawhamilton.com. Always informed and one of the best in the business. Lee, thanks again, and we'll talk to you real soon.
My pleasure, guys. Have yourself a great weekend. Bye.
Thanks, Lee.
All right. Lee Hacksaw Hamilton, leehacksawhamilton.com. Check it out.
Legend.
We're going to step aside when we come back. We'll continue and close out our draft conversation for this week and share some other news with you. We'll be back here on Silver and Black Today, CBS Sports Radio, 1140.
Help us talk the Silver and Black. Call us at 702-889-5978. Here's Scott Gulbranson on CBS Sports Radio, 1140 AM.
Welcome back. Silver and Black Today here on CBS Sports Radio, 1140 from Las Vegas. Also worldwide on the radio.com app because Raider Nation is worldwide.
From Baja to the Colorado Rockies.
Canadian Rockies. Come on. We just had Lee Hamilton on. That's a shout out.
We got
but
a
hey,
caller
listen.
from Colorado.
Yes, we do. So we are going to the phones, and I believe this is Raider Mike from Facebook who watches our show a lot. Mike, welcome. And how are the Rocky Mountains today?
Good. It's beautiful. Sunny. Not too hot. Probably a little cooler than Vegas there. But just holding it down here in Donkeyville. How are you guys doing?
Donkeyville. We're doing good, man. What's up with you? Tell us what's up. Excuse me. Tell me how to talk. Tell me what's on your mind.
Yeah, a couple things. So, I've been saying for years about the Patriots, and a lot of their success is, that they've had inferior teams in their division. And so if you think about it, right there is almost 5 to 6 wins per year in a 16-game season. So obviously, everybody knows if you can win your division, you have a lot better chance of making the playoffs. So I guess it's a two-parter. One, is what do you guys think with, like, between free agency and the draft, like, what is needed for us to, you know, either win our division, which is a long shot, or at least, you know, get a wild card or maybe a home playoff game? Like, how do we need to match up, say, with Kelsey and some of the teams, like the Chargers have a really good defense and stuff? And then the second question, do you guys think we should, when we go on the road this year, do you guys think we should, like, set up some tents, some practice facility, and just stay on the East Coast for weeks so we're not flying back and forth?
Yeah, no.
I was thinking that might be a good thing until the London game, and then come home and then do it again for a couple weeks.
Yeah, and they've done that before. I know when they were on the East Coast last year, they actually went to Miami to practice in advance of the what game was that? I can't remember now.
Yeah,
Baltimore.
actually,
I think it was Baltimore.
Few teams have done it. It works.
Yeah, it works. But to your point about the playoffs, we've seen a lot of conversation online today about where do you think this team ends up. I think with the brutal schedule, Kelly, I mean, it is a brutal schedule. Don't fool yourselves, folks. It really is. I can see this team, I mean, being very positive. I think 6-10 to 8-8 are all very possible.
6 and 10 is kind of like where I was kind of putting them. I think the bigger issue, I mean, not the issue, but I think the bigger thing to look for is just improvement on the field, not necessarily win-loss column this year. Right. Because with that, I don't care what anybody says, with that schedule, you're penciling in 2 losses no matter how good they play in that stretch.
Yeah.
You know, they could be the AFC champion by the end of the year. They're still losing at least 2 of those games in there. That's just, you don't travel like that. You're not away from home. You're not going overseas to London and winning those games. Right. It's just not going to happen.
Chargers and Chiefs as well, right?
Yeah. So as long as you see improvement on the field, I don't think the record is as important.
No, you're correct. And hopefully the Chiefs, you know, Mahomes has a sophomore slump, and now the problems they're having, they come back to the pack a little bit.
He's on the cover of Madden Football, and then like 30 seconds later, the audio comes out of Tyreek Hill, so the curse is already kicking in.
It's already there.
So that helps us.
Mike, thanks for calling in and representing Raider Nation out in Denver.
Hey, love you guys. Scott, you say when people are hating, you take it as vitamins. So, I'll throw it out there. I know being on the road is going to be tough, but the best way to overcome adversity is to work as a team. You know, I was in the Army, and,
yes.
if you can get everybody operating, at the same level and working really well as a team. I mean, look at the Patriots. They have not had the best – I hate the Patriots, but they have not had the most talented teams, but they always click it to a different level, like come December. It's because they're operating as a unit, as one, together.
Yeah.
So, if we can do that, then I think, we'll see how it goes.
That's the goal, right?
Agreed. And thanks for your service, Mike, and we'll talk to you again real soon. Thanks for calling in.
Yep.
And you know what? He brings up a great point, too, which is the Patriots. They just keep winning, and they draft, and they don't make headlines. Not, they had the best draft ever. No, they just do their thing. But
they have the best coach and possibly the best quarterback in the history of the sport.
That helps.
Those little things don't matter.
I mean, that's
Come on.
Everybody talks about the Patriot way and the Patriots. They have the best coach in the history of the sport and maybe the best quarterback.
Yes,
the 2 most important things, and they've got the best ever. That's why you keep winning, not because you keep having mediocre drafts. Not because you trade for 19 picks where 2 of them hit. It's you have the best coach and possibly the best quarterback ever in the history of the sport.
Okay, so we have a little bit of time left. This is usually Kelly's Corner, and we're going to jump in and kind of co-opt his corner a little bit. But I want to talk about who you guys think had the best drafts. I'm going to give you my top 3 and then hear from you. I thought number 1 was Washington. I mean, it shocks me to say that, but you look at Haskins, Sweat, and Love, even though he's coming off a knee injury. Then number 2, I had the Cardinals. I mean, if you look at the Cardinals, Kyler Murray, I know it's a polarizing pick. Brian Murphy, Andy Isabella, Zach Allen, Akeem Butler, and Keyshawn Johnson. I mean, unbelievable. And then I talked about the Chargers with Tillery, Adderley, and even Igabule.
I'm a fan of his.
I know. The linebacker in the late round. Boy, those 3, what do you guys, who do you have as your top 3?
Well, it's kind of boring, but I actually had the same 3. I kid you not. When I saw what the Redskins did, I was blown away. The fact they got Kelvin Harmon in this, I still don't understand that. He's one of the top wide receivers, and he doesn't separate as well. It doesn't matter. He makes plays at the catch point. You know, they got their quarterback. They traded back and got Sweat. You know, that was a great draft. Arizona, they did not handle the Josh Rosen thing well. That was a complete just miscarriage of everything. But their draft was great. I would have liked to have seen him get a little more help on the offensive line. But, you know, they got Gilbert, try to get some people healthy. And I'll throw Indianapolis in there just because I know what they're trying to do. They're building, you know, the first-round pick, they were never drafting at 26. That was always going to be traded. They want second, third-round picks because they're building depth. You know, they hit on all three of those picks, man. I mean, some guys fell to them that they didn't think were going to be there, but they crushed it.
I agree, Chaz.
You know, it was the Raiders that had the best draft overall.
Oh, there you go. There you go. You're a lot of fans out there very happy you said that.
Yeah, how are you guys even missing? It was Raiders 1, and then number 2 was the Raiders, and then probably number 3 was the Raiders.
Well, we have a special note, though.
Oh.
No. Okay. But what else? Raiders. Okay. Are you just done after the Raiders, or is there a couple more you like?
Actually, the Giants. I know they're getting ridiculed for taking the quarterback in the first, their top pick. But then after that, they really went out and got some players, and just the way that the draft, shook out, it wasn't as anybody expected, and it never is. And I thought they did a pretty, obviously they had 3 picks in the first round, just like we did. So it's going to look a lot better when you've got these 3 foundational type players.
Silver and Black today.
I knew it was coming.
If you've been listening all day, then you know what that's about. But no. I mean, it was a fine draft. It was not incredibly exciting. There was more coverage than ever. But I think I give the Raiders, if I had to give them a grade, I would give the Raiders a very solid B, maybe a B+ if Josh Jacobs can really turn it up. I like the kid a lot, so we'll see. But either way, people will love or hate whether or not or how they drafted. Kelly Kreiner, thanks, man.
Yeah, no problem.
All right, Chaz, we'll see you next time on the what? On the what?
On the Silver and Black today.
All right, guys, thanks for being with us. Silver and Black today. See you next Sunday.
We're here with